Coming up tonight, the Prime Minister approves an Eleuthera wedding during the national weekend lockdown. Meanwhile, we've got reaction from a couple who were forced to postpone their wedding twice. And 2 men face a judge over a triple shooting that left a man dead.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs, topping news tonight amid public furor over the competent authority's decision to grant just 2 couples permission to hold weddings with more than 5 guests during the weekend lockdown. Members of the bridal industry are speaking out on the countless weddings ruined and thousands of dollars in goods lost due to last-minute lockdowns. Kyle Joaquin has more.
It's the video that has since started a firestorm. A destination wedding on Harbour Island Saturday afternoon going past the 5-person limit. According to the video, the wedding was inclusive of a Junkanoo rush out and live band as the American couple tied the knot at Coral Sands Hotel on Harbour Island. Some, but not all attendees were wearing masks. But with Bahamians placed on an abrupt weekend lockdown, ruining the plans of many, videos of the wedding have since ruffled a lot of feathers. And Sunday night, the Prime Minister in a statement took responsibility for granting the special permission, saying, "The competent authority granted permission for 2 pre-planned weddings with more than 5 in attendance to be held over the weekend lockdown, provided that proper COVID-19 mitigation protocols were adhered to. Permission was granted for a destination wedding on Harbour Island, Eleuthera, and a Bahamian wedding in New Providence." When the videos first began circulating on social media, we reached out to Coral Sands Hotel, whose owner, Tom Sherman, prior to OPM's statement, was adamant that permission was granted and everything was done legally.
Yeah, we had permission from relevant authorities to conduct the wedding.
Relevant authorities, that would be whom? Ministry of Tourism or the police?
You can interpret that however you want. We know the system here. We have permission from relevant authorities.
Of course, OPM's statement came as a shock to not just brides and grooms, but those in the business of making those wedding day dreams come true.
You can't say to a bride the day before her wedding that she can't have a wedding when she spent almost $20,000 on gown, on makeup, on food, on decorations, on flowers that are going to go dead. Who is going to compensate these people for the money that they have spent?
With 4 to 5 weddings on average every weekend, Makiva Wallace says the hit to their business, which caters mainly to weddings, has been huge. She said since March, the company has been writing to the Prime Minister's office to see how best social distancing weddings can work, rather than having couples call off their big day, but haven't gotten a response since. She says the people suffering the most are not just the businesses losing money, but the couples left with uncertainty, many of whom have had to postpone multiple times.
So what we ask the competent authority, let us help. If a wedding has 100 guests, if it's in an open space, we can help to supervise them in a way where everyone is spread out, everyone wears a mask or a shield, and the wedding can go on.
And as weddings went on in limbo, so did some decorations. Janice Major of Floral Fantasia said the abrupt weekend lockdown came at a time when they were just getting back into the swing of things.
Well, the bridal party was cut down to 5.
Major said over the past few months, she's had to give away thousands of dollars worth of flowers due to the constant change in circumstances regarding the emergency orders.
Our next concern is our shipment. We have ordered flowers again to come in on Wednesday. And every time we're about to order, we're very concerned because when the country was shut down the very first time, we had just received the shipment. We lost like $4,000.
And as the uncertainty continues over what the emergency orders will bring next, these companies, like many others, continue to hold on to whatever business comes their way in hopes there's light at the end of the tunnel. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
The Ministry of Health confirms today that there are 40 additional confirmed cases of COVID-19. This brings the total number of confirmed cases to 382. The majority of those new cases are in Grand Bahama, which is nearly halfway through a 2-week lockdown. 21 people tested positive on the island today, 9 women and 12 men. The youngest case is an 18-year-old female. New Providence recorded 16 new cases, while Exuma recorded 2 more COVID-19 cases. There is 1 new case on Cat Island. Health officials say there are 278 active cases and 12 hospitalized cases. There are now 190 confirmed cases of COVID-19 on Grand Bahama, 151 confirmed cases in New Providence, 21 confirmed cases in Bimini, 6 confirmed cases in the Berry Islands, 4 confirmed cases in Cat Key, 3 confirmed cases in Moores Island, 3 confirmed cases in Cat Island, and 3 in Exuma, and 1 case in Great Guana Key.
Well, a young couple whose wedding plans were thrown off course for the second time this year is sharing their experience. The Evans say the abrupt notice left them speechless. Jillian Gray reports.
After spending thousands attempting to have a wedding on Saturday, Stephen and Shaquelle Evans were devastated when at a moment's notice their wedding plans had to be changed because of the new weekend lockdown.
We support the measures because we understand what's happening, but that level of notice is just, it's unheard of. I don't even know what to say about it.
The high school sweethearts reconnected after years apart in 2017, and now 2 years later they were ready to say I do. Back in May, their wedding plans hit a snag when the Registrar General's office closed from March to May, leaving them with no way of getting a marriage license until about 9 days before their ceremony. With 10 of their closest friends, they wed on May 29th and planned a larger gathering for this weekend. Outrage swirled on social media after videos showed an American couple in Harbor Island whose wedding party had more than the stated 5 persons and was void of social distancing practices. The Office of the Prime Minister said it granted that couple and a Bahamian couple permission to carry on with their ceremony despite the countrywide lockdown. Evans said they too wrote to the competent authority but did not get a response.
Throughout this process, a lot of people have argued about the feasibility of us having stopped and written the Prime Minister right away. But we did that the first time. We tried to write the Prime Minister when we couldn't get a marriage license and we got no response. And so we didn't get the same response that whatever wedding happened. And we're not, no hard feelings. Like, if we could have done it, we would have done it too. So we're not upset with the people that did it, but clearly the system isn't serving everybody the same way.
On Friday at 2 p.m., the couple decided to contact their bridal party, makeup artist, and all of their guests to quickly hold the gathering at 7 p.m. that evening. Mrs. Evans said she was in disbelief and hung up on her husband when he made the suggestion, as she could not fathom that the COVID-19 pandemic was yet again throwing their plans off course.
I pulled off on the side of the road at least 5 times just to catch myself, and I cried. When I said I broke down in tears because I was so heartbroken, I was like, there's no way we're going to be able to pull this off in, 4 or 5 hours?
The wedding that was supposed to start at 7
started at 9 p.m.
So we had 40 minutes to do it so that people could get home and not get arrested.
The second wedding was not without its hiccups. Shaquelle's mother was not able to make the wedding, and Stefan's best man, who lives out of town, was barely able to make it into the country and had to fly out the next morning. Though stressful, the couple said they were happy that they got to share their love. They told other couples to continue to be patient and keep fighting for their love.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks so much for that story there, Jillian. Well, 2 men were arraigned on charges connected to a recent murder that occurred in Pinewood Gardens earlier this month. Jasmine Brown was in court and filed this report.
Appearing in court was 21-year-old Kervon Stewart and 22-year-old William Wong. Stewart was charged with the July 16th murder of Ronaldo Nairn and the attempted murders of Antonio Pratt, Lamar Wilshcombe, and Travis Stewart. Wong was charged with abetment to Nairn's murder and abetment to commit the attempted murders of the 3 surviving victims. Both men appeared before Deputy Chief Magistrate Andrew Forbes. Police say Nairn was one of 3 men shot while gathered in front of a home on Rosewood Street in Pinewood Gardens on July 16th. According to police, a black vehicle drove by the Pinewood Gardens home. Police allege that the car returned and someone inside the car opened the door and fired at the group of men. Stewart and Wong were not required to enter a plea and were remanded into custody. They make their next court appearance on November 26. Also appearing in court number 8 was Eddington Burrows. Burrows was charged in connection with a March 10, 2019 non-fatal shooting incident that injured 4 people. Burrows was charged with attempted murder and possession of a firearm with intent to endanger lives. According to police, the March 10, 2019 shooting occurred shortly after 4 a.m. Police allege that the shooting occurred after an altercation. Burrows was not required to enter a plea. He was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. His attorney, Krista Mason-Smith, asks that special attention be paid to her client at the Bahamas Department of Corrections, as she claimed he had received threats from prison. Burrows returns to court on November 4th. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
So to come on our news, small businesses impacted by the abrupt weekend lockdown. Plus, local leaders pay tribute to former Barbados Prime Minister Owen Arthur. Stay tuned.
Journey TV presents the most open, honest, and revealing life stories. These stories of survival and strength will inspire you because there is freedom and healing in every story. Join me and my guest every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. and Sunday at 5:30 p.m. during the month of August on RTV channel 212 for real-life conversations. Journey TV, we share life's truths.
The abrupt weekend lockdown and new curfew start time hit many small businesses hard over the weekend. They are calling on the government to give the public more notice before rolling out new restrictions. Bethany McDermott reports.
Small businesses suffering yet another blow after the announcement of a weekend lockdown and new curfew time of 7 p.m. Owner of Empire Fitness, Dr. Ken Bazard, said the announcement came as a shock, adding that he was also angry and hurt, especially considering that he had no time to inform his staff and properly plan. During the first lockdown back in March, Bazard said they were able to continue paying their staff, but the same cannot be said this time around.
We were able to pay our staff during the first lockdown, but now during the second lockdown, we're not able to pay our staff, so they now have to go to NIB, and that's unfortunate. It's something that I wanted to avoid, but we pretty much have no choice. We still have expenses. We're still being charged by our landlords, still being charged by our utilities.
Meantime, that abrupt weekend lockdown, along with the new curfew having an impact on small businesses in the food and beverage industry. They say it will definitely affect their bottom line. Owner of Pastry Haven, Nathan Sands, says he lost sales this past weekend because of the lockdown. Additionally, he says the new curfew has forced him to switch up the way he prepares his pastries.
Curfew ends at 5 a.m., so I have to be at my door in my car at 5 a.m. to leave, to get out so I can get here to work earlier to do more baking because now I can't do it in the evenings.
Over at the Bush Cook, owner Corey Small said they've been preparing for this lockdown, while Brandon Camp from the Tin Furl said he warned vendors that this may happen.
We expected it, I must admit. Seeing all the rising cases, we did think that it was going to come. So the plan that we're enacting now, we just had to start it earlier than what we were expecting. So like I said, the vendors, we were disappointed that our biggest day was taken away, but that's the world we're living in now.
We would have anticipated following the international news, keeping up with the social media houses and what's happening on the internet. So we was anticipating a lockdown of some sort. So it didn't really shock us, but we just took the necessary precautions prior to the lockdown.
Cam also expressed frustration as he says vendors spend the entire week preparing for their busiest day only to be placed on lockdown hours before.
The warning time really hits us hard. You can imagine that our vendors go and stock up far in advance, knowing that Saturdays and the weekends are their busiest times. So hearing the news Friday evening really did hit a lot of our vendors financially hard.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
And the weekend lockdown also added to the grief of mourning families preparing to bury their loved ones over the weekend. Managing funeral director and embalmer at Emerald Memorial Mortuary, Wendell Dean, says he alone had 2 funerals set for the weekend that had to be rescheduled following the Prime Minister's announcement on Friday afternoon.
Sadly enough, about 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, 1:30, when the circular first went viral on social media, the traffic situation became unbearable, congestion, panic, families calling, wanting to know what's going to happen, and at that point, there was no answers to give them because we had to wait until the press conference to know exactly what was going to be said.
On Friday, Prime Minister Minnis announced that due to the increase in COVID-19 cases, funeral services are to once again take place at the graveyard with only 5 people, including the officiant. Dean says the competent authority owes those families impacted an apology.
I would think would be most appropriate for him to apologize to all of these families who had to suffer additional grief and sorrow because of cancellations, postponements, and for their anxiety levels being raised because of the bad decision that was made on Friday.
tributes pouring in for former Barbados Prime Minister Owen who passed away today. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis said Arthur left an indelible mark on the economic and social development of Barbados, adding the country has lost a great son of the soil, while the Caribbean has lost a champion of the region. Former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram remembered his former colleague and friend as intellectually inquisitive, quick-witted, and an economic powerhouse with a terrific sense of humor. Ingram added, always a champion of Barbados, Arthur was an important voice who will be missed. Meanwhile, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell paid tribute to the Caribbean statesman extraordinaire, whom he said was a weighty presence at meetings and always looked out for the Bahamas, and Mitchell on a personal level. Owen Arthur was 70. Still to come, the teachers' union calls on government to train teachers to adapt to new education models. Stay tuned.
It was cheat, you know. Rev up in the next promotion. Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
Best 2 out of 3.
Rev is making this summer hotter than ever with our Rev Hot Summer Staycation. Simply upgrade to Rev Trio and use your free apps like Rev Go Play to watch your favorite NBA teams and Rev Go Voice to stay connected and enter to win a free staycation on us. You can also enter to win a bi-weekly home party for you and your family or a weekly drawing for a sleek new mobile device. Don't get caught daydreaming. Get in the game and into the fun. Visit rev.bs/trio for details. Rev, you and us, together.
Welcome back. Plans to resume lessons in September will call for the renegotiation of the terms of services for teachers, according to Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson, who said teachers must be trained to adapt to the proposed changes in the public education system. George Owen reports.
Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson is responding to the government's plan to reopen schools in September. Last week, Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd announced that the new school year will begin with public school students learning remotely. However, according to Wilson, in order for schools to reopen smoothly, the terms and conditions that govern the services of teachers must be renegotiated.
There must be policies and protocols and procedures drafted and established because there are changes to the duties and terms and conditions of service for teachers, and that cannot be done unilaterally. The union must be in agreement with the terms and conditions of service and the duties that changes that will come for teachers or that have been proposed.
Wilson called for a clear plan of action that must be agreed to by the union before teachers return to any sort of classroom.
So when we look at a work from home policy, a rotation and school hours policy, the use of devices, safety, health and safety, teacher observation and evaluation, students testing, there's so much work that needs to be done. And we must have an action plan, and it must be clear.
Education officials have developed 3 instructional models in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic that has continued to reshape how students are taught. Wilson questioned when teachers will receive the necessary training to carry out the new models proposed by the Minister of Education for the reopening of schools on September 21st.
These models utilize various pedagogical skills and methods, and the details must be presented clearly in an action plan for the implementation and the execution of all of these various models. And we are really asking for all stakeholders need to be engaged and at the table before the reopening of school.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgia Bain.
The Bahamas Public Service Union is preparing to hold elections in September, according to BPSU President Kimsley Ferguson, who said in light of the many changes taking place in the global workforce, the union needs a team that will defend the rights of workers.
We having assembled a cadre of highly qualified individuals, candidates which are passionate about the advancement of the labor movement in this country. We stand ready to continue to protect and advance the common interests of our members in their employment. We commit to obtain and maintain security of tenure and proper conditions of employment with a focus to enhance remuneration and their status.
Still to come, what the country's professional athletes were up to over the weekend. Stay tuned for that.
Our world has changed. Many businesses have been closed for months with little or no access to their customers until now. Rev Media can help you remain connected to your customers. Our trusted customized advertising packages and personalized consultants will provide your business with immeasurable support during this challenging time. Your customers are already watching. Rev Media can help you to remain connected. Call us today. Let us help you.
It was a busy weekend for some of the country's professional athletes, including track star Shawnee Miller-Webo. Marcellus Hall has that.
Well, while most of us were at home on lockdown, no such problem for a number of our professional athletes. In fact, quite a few of them seeing some intense action. Here's an update on how they did. Shawnee Miller-Webo continuing to build on her already impressive resume, the Bahamian track star running over the weekend in Claremont, Florida. Shawnee on Friday with a new personal best in the 100 meters. She blazed to the victory in the final in 10.98 seconds. She would also post a world-leading time in the 200 meters on Saturday, winning in 21.98 seconds. World Championship gold medalist Stephen Gardner also at that meet. He finished second in the 200 meters. Sprinter Anthony Strawn, meanwhile, ran at the velocity meet 2020 meet in Jamaica. She won the 222.72 seconds. And on to some basketball, DeAndre Ayton and the Suns, they're in scrimmage action yesterday. Ayton played 20 minutes, finished with 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals. That came in a 117-103 loss to the Celtics. So congratulations to our track stars, Shawnee Miller-Webo, Anthony Strawn, and Stephen Gardner on their performances over the weekend. We'll also continue to keep an eye on our NBA players as they get ready for the NBA restart on Thursday. Reporting for our news, I'm Marcellus Hall.